Derivative Jill.
There she is. There she is.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hello and welcome. I'm Anti-Derivative Jill, and I'm glad you're here today to explore the last 2 episodes of Season 1 of For All Mankind, because this show definitely has an effect on me. It stirs me. It's incredible how much of an effect this show has on me personally in real life, and I haven't even finished Season 1 yet, so I'm glad that I had Philip here today to talk to him about it. So thank you for joining me today, Philip. How are things going in your land? You're getting ready to take a trip of your own, aren't you?
Yeah, at the end of the week it'll be Las Vegas for the Star Trek convention they have there.
Yeah,
and
I haven't gone there in a while.
I haven't been there in a bit. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be doing some interviews for a Trek site that I can't really. They haven't really told me if I should announce it or anything, but I'd rather the surprise just kind of come out. So hopefully,
well, yeah, when it gets published, let us know and we'll share it out. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Great news. And I want to say hello to Gavin Blackburn, who's here, and also Maddie's Daddy, who is lurking. So yeah, okay. Well, that's great, exciting. Interviews are always fun.
Yeah.
But this show, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it rips your soul out. And so that's like whenever I was making band screen I was looking at the screenshots to make my thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I found that Ed did in fact actually write Shane Baldwin's name on the moon. And of course Shane, if you're just catching up with us, is the young boy who tragically lost his life in the last episode. And it tore me up then, and just making a thumbnail I broke down again because of how it affects my life personally. Now I had somebody die in a similar way recently, and if you're not watching the show, you should know that it makes you it can actually make you feel this much when something in it relates to your own life. And that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It's an alternate reality that sometimes it's a little too real, too relatable.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating how I've heard I'll call them the uninitiated non-sci-fi people, like would have accused science fiction of being kind of emotionally distant and not emotionally resonant, and then I see stuff like this and I'm like, I don't know about that. I think it can be really impactful.
Yeah, it's impactful to me, even when it sticks more to the science and some it's always about the interactions between the astronauts, even if it's not as dramatic as For All Mankind.
Yeah.
I would definitely disagree with that take on it.
Yeah.
But I can understand why people would go that way when they don't really watch a lot of it.
Yeah.
And hey, Penny's here, popped in to leave a like. I have my grandson today. I don't have Apple TV. Yeah, and I guess that would be a barrier to some people who would like to watch the show.
Yeah, I think actually there was a report that came out either this week or the week before. It was in the run-up to San Diego Comic-Con, and they were talking about how Apple is going to be cutting back on funding for any of the television stuff, because I guess in order for them to achieve the numbers that Netflix does, because whatever Netflix does in a day, it takes like a month for Apple to do it. And so they're kind of like, why are we going to spend all this money if nobody's watching our platform? But then I'm like, I mean, I can count on my hand the number of times I've seen an Apple TV Plus ad for any of their shows anywhere. I haven't really seen them on like a bus or even scrolling on any other social media platform. So I kind of think it's a marketing thing. I don't really think they promote their shows as much as they should, even on their platform where they should be promoting other series that they do have that are available. Because they have Foundation, they have Silo, they have recently they had Constellation, which I think they canceled after a season because of low viewership. And at a point, I'm kind of accusing them of shooting themselves in the foot because, I mean, if you don't promote your stuff adequately enough, you're not going to get the attention that they deserve. I mean, they've given enough confidence to For All Mankind to another season and even a spinoff, so that's good. But I'm concerned about the other shows they have that are currently running.
Yeah, marketing is a huge part of getting your stuff out there, and if they're not putting that investment into that, it's kind of uncool for them to cut back the TV budget when they're kind of making the coolest stuff around. So I guess some of their shows are really good, and I haven't watched them, but I've heard good things about them. And this is really the first one that I'm actually looking into, so it makes sense that this is the one that's succeeding.
Yeah.
But I hope they don't abandon making television completely, because it seems like they allow their creators to work without as much interference as other executives for other for other programming tend to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice balance. I wish Paramount and Disney would take that kind of creative leniency towards their creators.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to be that, because that's a lot of what I think HBO used to do back in the day. Was they would trust their creative team to do the best thing that they knew they could do, and that was great for them for decades. And I don't know what the philosophy is in the Apple world, but this show, I don't even have an Apple product, and yet I went out of my way to watch their programming. So, that just speaks to how the quality of the programming that they do have. And so it kind of boggles my mind that they're not willing to invest in marketing any of it.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I hope they pick it up and things don't die off too much. Hello to Lee Anthony Davis. It's really good to see you. How are you doing today? And oh wait, is Gorilla here? I didn't see him. Oh yeah, here he is. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Kapla.
Success.
Yeah, so I hope For All Mankind gets the 7 seasons that we're supposed to get. In light of that news, thank you for bringing that news from San Diego Comic-Con. I hadn't looked into that stuff.
Yeah, I was just there on Friday I wasn't supposed to go to Comic-Con. I was just kind of walking around it with my fiance and a couple of her friends, and so there's a lot of like outside stuff, like exhibits and experiences. So without even having to go into Comic-Con, you can still have a Comic-Con experience. And so that's the first time I've ever done anything with it. So maybe next year I'll get in on a press pass. We'll see what happens. But it's fun. Even without going in, there's still fun to be had. So.
Oh, can you still go to the part where they sell stuff and all the room where where every comic convention has a place you can buy things? Did you go there?
Vending,
yeah, the vending.
No, we weren't able to go into the convention center itself, but there were people selling tons of merch all around the convention center.
Okay, there you
go. San Diego Comic-Con 2024 shirts to little items that you can take into the Comic-Con, or they were giving out free comic books that were related to some, because I think they had a bunch of guys dressed up in like Borderlands, video game costumes, and they were handing out free magazines or comic books. I'm not really sure. I didn't grab one, but Yeah, they even had like a photo op for Star Trek and Doctor Who. It was like a weird combo. I don't know if that's kind of implying that there's going to be a crossover between the two at some point.
Oh, yeah. Well, I heard that Kurtzman and Russell T Davies had some kind of off-site meeting that I don't know anything about, or if anybody cares. But
Yeah.
I don't care too much. But I guess if I heard more about it, I would.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, I haven't heard too
there's
much. I think
something going on.
I know there's at least a video game or something that's coming out that's going to be bringing the two together, but I don't think there's any serious talk about blending the two together in real life. So, I mean, I know they did that. They discussed that back in Enterprise days, where they wanted to kind of
Yes, that
mix the
would
two.
probably would have been better.
It would have been interesting because it would have been the Ninth Doctor meeting the crew of the NX-01, and so that would
I'm
have
not
been
so
fascinating.
sure. It would have been fascinating, but I'm not so sure the two universes actually jive together. But it still would have
Yeah, I don't know.
been a fun external crossover universe.
Yeah, it'll be almost 60 years in the making, so that'd be something.
Well, I wanna thank RVM371 for a $5 super chat. That's really nice of you. Thank you so much. He says, "Hail Jill, watching from the infusion room, chemo day. Stay anti-derivative." Yeah, thank you. Thank you, RBM. Oh man, I know I can't actually know what it's like to undergo chemo, but from what I hear, it's not easy. And so I hope you're as comfortable as possible and that things get better. I hope everything gets better. And I don't know if anybody prays, or if you're like me, send out some good energy to RBM371. And
Absolutely. One
and
of my
also
aunts had to do that.
sure. Yeah. Gosh. And yeah, it's terrible to have to.
Yeah.
But hopefully it helps. And like Gavin Blackburn, hope your treatment goes well. And
Absolutely.
also send those same good thoughts to Pop Culture Curator, because I haven't heard from him lately. Last I know is that he's in the hospital as of last week. I'm hoping he shows up soon. Still pay attention to the situation, so I'll let you guys know. He's a great friend who's been ill for a while. From what I hear, he had to go in because his normal caretaker needed a break. So hopefully it's just a visit.
Yeah, hopefully.
Lee Anthony Davis says, "Whatever happened to good writing, dialogue, storytelling, and good acting to make programs and film without adding pointless representation and political rubbish, which can kill many audiences?" And so, yeah, if you're going to add those elements, they can't be pointless. And
Yeah, I mean,
this show kind of does it in a
my
more
whole thing is,
impactful way.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would agree that. I mean, it depends on what you're watching, because I feel like people who aren't really accustomed to like watching a lot of modern television can definitely make that charge. I don't really, because I know there's a lot of political messaging these days on both sides. But for me, it's like there's good storytelling out there. I mean, I think Apple TV is definitely leading a kind of revolution in that, but it's kind of a silent revolution where people kind of aren't aware of it. And that's kind of sad to me, because I mean, we're here discussing For All Mankind, basically one of my favorite shows, of the past decade. I don't know if I'd put it on the same pedestal as one of my other favorite shows, Mr. Robot, but it's pretty close. And I feel like that's a definite benefit for All Mankind. And I'm hoping with the next few seasons we get, if we get them, keep our fingers crossed for that, we'll be able to see the whole story be told, and we can kind of see the whole big picture once it's all complete.
Oh yeah, that would be good. And And of course, diversity itself isn't at all political, and so this
No.
show, it does a good job of keeping you in the mindset of the 70s, but
Mhm.
being hopeful about it without actually pulling the 2024 into it.
Yeah.
It's a fine balance, and I enjoy it. Matt G,
Mhm.
hello. Hello to Matt G. Let's bring in the slides
Mhm.
so we can talk about Bent Bird, the 9th episode in season 1.
Yep, the penultimate.
And I wish I could know more about the production of this episode. There's not a whole lot. Well, I mean, maybe I just don't know where to look. I'll take a bigger look, deeper look sometime to see if I can find more stuff. But this is Chantel Danston's at a table read, and she put something on Instagram saying, "Our final table read, it was super emotional. This season has been a roller coaster of celebrations and challenges." I want to know more about this celebrations and challenges, but
Yeah.
we didn't get a whole lot. And it was this Bent Bird aired on December 13th, 2019. It took place in universe during December 24th to 27th, 1974. This episode was written by David Weddle and Bradley Thompson and directed by John Dahl. And so Penny says, too many of these shows are reaching limited audiences because of the way streaming is split between platforms, unlike how cable bundles channels. Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. Because everybody's spread apart. Oh, what's your favorite service? Well, we can't have too many of these. These are... And then it gets to the point where you have so many streaming services, you're paying just as much as cable used to cost. So what is even the point?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that too. I mean, in general, I do think that if you end up getting to that much, expense, that you're still getting more bang for your buck in general because you have so much access to basically everything, as opposed to like cable where some people are paying for sports packages and that even shoots it up even higher in some cases. And I don't watch,
yeah.
so I don't watch sports, so it doesn't. I like having to not have to pick that.
Yeah, it's still better than cable, but it's
Mhm.
it's getting worse anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Relatively to itself.
Yeah, they're all starting to kind of collapse into each other because I mean, even Disney Plus and Hulu are
That's
really
true.
close to kind of merging into one, and I think even Max is talking about merging in
But
with another
Disney,
platform. So
but Disney had to buy Hulu, Fox,
Yeah.
in order to do that.
Yep.
So
It's
they're
interesting.
just gonna keep eating each other, I guess.
Yeah.
Booger 414 says there's some politics in all science fiction, mostly because of the speculative nature of the genre. Yes, because especially when you're envisioning a better future and everything, and it's going to be part of it. And politics is definitely part of the show, especially since it is
Yep.
The past coming to the future.
Yep. So definitely the philosophical aspect of the genre that kind of brings out the political leanings. It depends on who's writing it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Well, these 2 episodes are pretty good. They're pretty amazing. I like them. They start with Apollo 24 trying to head to the moon to retrieve Ed from the moon base, but they have a problem that causes Apollo 25 to come up to help with the spacewalk, and it all goes south, and things, bad things happen. So there are deaths in this episode, but at least none of them are children this time.
True.
So Ed's been stranded 159 days. So, okay, so where am I? Yeah, 159 days. And so they were going to do something called a translunar injection. So we get a little picture of this. What they're doing. And what the hope was that was the dream. that everything was going to go smoothly, like that cute little picture of the orbiting Earth, orbiting the moon, landing on the moon. Everybody's happy at the moon base.
Yeah.
And Deke is pretty happy because this is his first mission, and he was there at the beginning of the programs and everything, but he couldn't go on any of the early missions because of his heart, and now that isn't an issue anymore.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when they try to ignite to do this lunar injection, translunar injection, it fails. The computer crapped out, is what they eventually figure out. Oh, what's Lee Anthony Davis says, what annoys me is that Hollywood and the BBC try to distort history by changing the narrative. For example, in Doctor Who, Isaac Newton was portrayed as an Indian. I'm sorry, I don't watch Doctor Who, so that caught me off guard, which is historically inaccurate. And Cleopatra. I'm sorry, Lee Anthony Davis. It's I guess Doctor Who's doing its own alternate history.
Well, I think a lot of that, when you're watching sort of a science fantasy like Doctor Who, I mean, you're not watching something that is a documentary, so you can kind of do whatever you want.
Kinda. It's a little outlandish, but sure.
I mean, it's Doctor Who after all, so.
I don't know. Depends how it was written. If it was see, the problem is outlandish things can happen, but if the story's fun and everybody's having a good time, no one will care about little details like that. But
Yeah, I mean, it's
when the story's not good, when it sucks, then those details stand out like a sore thumb and look worse.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the context, I'm not really sure what to think. 'Cause, I mean, Hamilton, the play, they race swapped and played around with it, and it's like, it's not a documentary, but it's a way for people to kind of relate to it that aren't exactly within a certain political view. And I think it makes things a little more interesting in a way, because it's like, it's not what you expect, and then you give other people opportunities to play roles that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. So
yeah, well, in that case, I hear that was actually good. I've never actually watched it, but that's the whole point. If you know how to make a good story, then you can overcome things like that.
Yeah.
And also, it's Deke's first mission. It's Ellen's first command. Because I think her first mission was before. She was on a previous mission. She's been in space before, but this is her first command.
Yeah, I don't think they really are specific of what mission that was. At least I'm not mistaken.
So they're supposed to do the translunar injection, but it doesn't work because of the computer. So they have to deal with the problem. They call it a bent bird. And so that's the meaning for the title of the episode. So there we go. We got the title pretty early in the episode.
Yep. Got to have your title drop.
And that's what they're having to undergo. Well, we're not dead. A little dark after you've seen the episode to hear that directly from Harry. Harry says, "Well, we're not dead."
Yeah, that might be a little bit of foreshadowing, huh?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I suppose it's foreshadowing. I wasn't sure whether to call it that, but it definitely does look worse when you watch it later.
Yeah.
And Karen's choosing Shane's very last outfit, and that's sad.
Yeah.
So of course Karen's having a rough time
Mhm.
Tracy's trying to bring over some of her friends and all the other astronaut wives to help her, to just help her around the house or give her company, but she doesn't want company. She wants to sleep. She's depressed. Obviously, makes sense.
Yeah.
Under heavy grieving, as I was saying at the introduction of the show, grief is a theme for
Mhm.
this episode, and we see
Yeah.
both how Karen and Ed deal with losing their son,
Mhm.
and yeah, it cuts. It's everyone deals with grief in different ways and with different time frames depending on how close you are to someone,
Yeah.
and you got to take that time.
Mhm. Yeah, because he's basically like shut off all communication with NASA. He's just kind of, grieving on his own alone on the moon base. And yeah, I mean, not taking it
Yeah,
too
just
well, obviously, but, not
right.
that
He
you
just
would,
lets.
but,
No, he's not. He's
you
he's cut off communication, which is actually kind of dangerous when you're alone on the
Mhm.
moon and somebody's trying to contact you. It's
Yeah.
I don't know how long he's had the everything off. At least he didn't have the dot matrix printer off. That's still churning messages at him that he's completely ignoring
Yeah.
while he's moping around. But I guess it's not moping, it's grieving.
Yeah.
Gavin Blackburn says, "It amazes me that we landed humans on the moon using analog instrumentation and a glorified calculator for a computer." Yes, my TI-84 calculator is way more powerful than anything that was in the first mission to the moon.
It's definitely insane,
It is pretty incredible.
which it did happen, for anybody who thinks it didn't. It happened six
Oh,
times.
yeah, it did.
We landed on the moon 6 times. Would have been 7 if Apollo 13 didn't have their mishap. So,
Mm. Oh, right. You mean this one?
well, this one would be
Houston, we have a problem. We have a main bus B undervolt.
amazing.
This is a good movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, just the details that they add to the show with Shane's baby picture.
Yeah.
Yes. I hate it and I love it. Luckily, though, he didn't have too much liquor to get through, but he got through every drop he could.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the only fortunate that is the fortunate thing. I'm glad he didn't have more liquor. Things would be worse.
Yeah. I don't know if they said how much they actually brought up with them. I think it's just the one bottle.
Well, and it was smuggled. I think Tracy smuggled it. It was not actually allowed.
Yeah.
And so that Peter has a bad board, but we're gonna say hello to FKHC 2005. And Gavin Blackburn says space booze. Yes.
Mm.
Wait, have they had alcohol in space yet? Or they're just like, we're not that stupid?
Officially,
Yeah, officially. Oh, it's interesting. I just thought of that question. I have no idea.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, I want to say maybe. I don't know offhand.
Okay.
I know they've smuggled a lot of wacky things onto the missions before, and it's nothing usually that extravagant.
Oh.
It's like a sandwich somebody wanted to bring up, and they were like, "You can't do that."
And just, well, why not? It's a sandwich.
I think it was one of John
I know it's not
Young's
allowed.
missions.
I know
Yeah.
I obviously it would make sense that it's not allowed. I just won't. Okay. Oh, of course it was the Russians. Russians have drank in space.
Well, them, yes. I'm pretty certain about them. I'm sure we've officially never done that.
Officially. Quote,
Yeah.
unquote. I want to look more into that. I know it isn't allowed, but I want to hear more. Anyway, I'll look into that later. That'll be something for shortly.
Mhm.
Do we even know how zero G alters the effects of it at all? Yeah, exactly. So it should be an experiment.
Yeah, I mean, getting drunk for science, that's a thing.
Right. Right. They're told that it'll be. Okay, so Molly's got to take this computer. So what's going to happen is Apollo 25 is going to go help with Apollo 24 to replace the computer. And their Molly Cobb's going to help with that. And Margot Madison backs Molly up. And Weisner, I guess, agrees. We're good to go. The unit is 18 feet from the only access point, which is the store. And apparently they've done enough training. I don't know enough to know if they've done enough training to do this particular installation of a computer, or if something like this is routine, or what the normal procedure for it is. And I just have to assume it's totally fine.
Mhm.
Her dad, Aleda's dad, finds out that she got into this prestigious school that's going to help her get into any university that she wants to get into. And so it's going to give her the brightest future possible. So he's upset. She didn't tell her. He didn't.
Yeah.
She didn't tell him, rather. The Kennedy program, that's what it is. And she tries to say it's because I want to stay with my friends, but he knows better. He knows it's because because she wants to stay with her boyfriend.
Mhm.
And he wants her to focus on her future, but of course kids want to have fun. Makes sense.
Mm.
She tries to school him, saying, "This is America. People have fun here."
Yeah.
We're not in Mexico anymore. And I'm not sure why he grounds her exactly. For being dishonest. I'm not sure.
Mm.
It doesn't make a lot of sense why she gets grounded.
I think he was trying to keep her away from the guy. I think that's the motivation, is that the
That
guy
doesn't
is what's
usually
holding
end
him
well.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the implication, but at the same time, he kind of expect to do that forever. Like, oh, you're grounded until you graduate. Really?
Yeah.
That's not that wouldn't end well. Anyway, it doesn't end up mattering too much. Gorilla's Random Thought says lots of things are banned because if prices break, they drift into the other equipment. Oh, if pieces break, they drift into other equipment and start fires. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Daisy. Computers and spaceships don't mix well. Oh, well, right now I don't think any of the computers have any artificial intelligence. That'll be fun to see when they start integrating that into the show.
Yeah.
Or do they? Do they start
Well,
doing
yeah.
that? Yeah, that makes
As
sense.
far as I'm aware, that still hasn't happened.
No, that hasn't happened yet in
No.
the show. Okay.
So I'm kind of wondering when it will.
Hmm.
I'd imagine next season at the earliest.
Cool. FKHC 2005 says my dad went to USAFA, and
So US Air Force Academy.
while he wasn't there that day, they picked a feather for the Apollo 15 flight for the reason they picked the bird. They did take the feather they did take was the falcon, and the Grand Dame of the Muse, huh? That's okay. The falcon was named Hungry. and was the grand dame of the meet. Oh, okay. So a feather from a falcon from a university went to the moon.
If I remember correctly, there was an experiment either on Apollo 15 or Apollo 17 where they were trying to test the theory of gravity by, I think, throwing or dropping a feather and a rock at the same time and seeing if they would fall at the same rate.
Oh, right, like Galileo's experiment from the Tower of Pisa.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Oh, I wonder if that was that feather.
Maybe. Don't remember offhand. That's the thing.
Oh, but it was Apollo 15. You said 17. Hammer and feather.
That's it. Yeah, it's Apollo 15 because those were the geologists. That was that mission.
Brogu's here. How are you doing, Brogu? Hello, everyone. Hello, Jill. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Kapah. Kapah, Brogu. Gosh. Well, okay, so Daniel's here because Gordo wants to talk to her. He's like, good news. I am going through my therapy and I'm feeling better now. I want everybody to know the truth. I want everybody to know you're a terrible liar. And so she's like, no, don't do that. We're neither of us are gonna get to fly anymore if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so she says, so you want to make an honest man of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. It basically, and not only that, like I like the fact that Gordon is seeking a psychiatrist for his trauma because he shouldn't be an astronaut if that kind of thing is happening to him mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good that he's trying to heal himself. It would be nice if it was something that NASA would support, but apparently, according to this show, had NASA found out, he would have lost his license to fly forever, even on the ground. I mean, even on Earth, even terrestrially.
Yeah.
So, I guess the concept of healing someone with mental instability isn't something that was as supported in the 70s. Or, well, especially exemplified by the fact that Danny calls the doctor a shrink.
Mm-hmm.
So while I do appreciate, even though it was wrong technically not to report Gordon's episodes to NASA, I do appreciate that she wanted to help him when otherwise he would never actually be helped and keep his career at the same time. It's just too bad those things are mutually exclusive in this era. And well, but she forgets to mention it would also brand Ed as a liar too, so Ed would also be in trouble.
Yeah.
It kind of screw over the whole crew.
Yeah, I do like how they call him out on that, and Danielle's like, "What, you think that it's some kind of misplaced virtue is gonna save yourself or something?" And then he's like, he finally starts thinking about it, like maybe he's being a little more self-centered.
Yeah, I'm glad that happened. Otherwise, he would have blown everything up. Because she, if anybody doesn't remember, she broke her arm, so that was the reason they had to go back to Earth instead of having to go back because of Gordon's psychotic episode. So Karen's depressed. Obviously, she's still depressed. She's hardly eating, and Marge is okay. So this is great. This is what's really good about this episode, because there are parallel moments in the episode where Marge is here trying to comfort Karen, and later on in the episode, Karen has a reason that she's going to be comforting. Not in this episode, but the next one, Marge. So I love when parallel things happen. It's really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
So she's bringing her some cornbread. And she eats like a crumb.
Yeah.
But she just still doesn't want to get up. She just rolls over. She's not ready. Hey, Princess Fiona. It's really great to see you. Hey, Gavin Blackburn, Broku. Oh, how are you doing, Princess? Burger says that harkens back to the classic question, which weighs more, a pound of lead or a pound of feathers? Well, if they're both a pound, they weigh the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cute. Well, I guess in space, though, we care more about mass than weight, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And oh, where were we? Okay, so yeah, Ed's building a memorial for Shane, and with rocks, he's stacking rocks on top of each other to mourn his son. And there's his name there. He told his son he wrote his name there a long time ago, and I don't know if it was written then or now.
I think it's kind of implied that he only wrote it after he'd passed.
I'm not sure about that. I feel like he wrote it before, but maybe I don't know. I feel like he wrote it after all. Because why would you lie about that? I don't know.
Because I think there's a line where it's discussed, but can't recall which episode.
Well, he says it's bullshit, but I think he just meant doing that didn't mean that much, because he couldn't actually be there for his son as much as he wanted to because he's an astronaut, and so I don't think it means that he didn't write the name. I think he did. So but that's just me. You can believe that he only just did it now. We can disagree on one thing. That'd be okay.
Well, it's written now, so that's what's important.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we actually see it visually.
Yeah, right. It is pretty impactful.
Yeah.
And I want to say hello to James Caserta, who says, "Wow, Princess Fiona is here." Yes, that's what I was thinking too. I have Tuesdays free now for the time being. Wow. Well, that's good news. I hope everything's going well. So Danny was Shane's best friend, and Danny's just been completely quiet this whole time, just mostly fidgeting with Shane's pine derby car that he left at his house. And so Tracy decides to tell him they'll go on a trip to Galveston when she comes back from her mission. He doesn't want to talk to the pastor because he smells like onions. I thought that was fun. No, my coffee's getting cold.
No.
I have this other coffee mug that'll keep my coffee hot, but I didn't use that today. Oh no, it's the FBI agent, Gavin Donahue. He's talking to Octavio Rosales. And it's not just that he's a undocumented immigrant or illegal immigrant or whatever, because he has a social security number from a dead person so that he could work.
Yeah.
And the FBI agent is calling him out on that. And so, but if that's not bad enough, he's insinuating that Octavio has something to do with the KGB agent. A KGB agent has hired him to spy or something, and so he's getting accused of this. And I guess somebody must have listed his name just like as a random name for some reason. But of course, Octavio has nothing to do with any of this. He's just a dad looking for a better future for his daughter and everything, and so that's what he did. But unfortunately, what he did was technically a crime, so they do end up deporting him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a nice person and a good dad. I would hope he'd be considered for citizenship officially, but if he's potentially working for a KGB agent, then I guess they're not gonna. There's no there's no opportunity for that happening.
Well, I try not to reveal too much about what happens later, but
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's perfectly natural that this is what they would suspect of him, even though,
hmm
we know that he's not, working with the Russians. It's just at that time everybody's paranoid and they think that, any little bit is, if you give anybody like an inch, it's enough for the Russians to see through.
Yeah, exactly. And he's taking documents from from NASA, and he doesn't. Obviously, it makes sense. He doesn't admit that he's giving these pictures to his daughter, because if there's these kind of accusations flying around, you don't want to involve your daughter in it. So he's like, they're from my friend who likes space, which is a terrible answer.
Yeah.
And so things aren't looking good for him. Well, it's good to know that there's more to this story.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of the opposite thing happened to my husband. Somebody was using his social security number, but that person died. And
Wow.
and so for a while the IRS thought my husband was dead.
Wow.
It's like, oh, I'm married to a zombie.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about that.
Yeah. Well, we just ended up getting a security code that we have to put in every year. We still have to put it in every year to file our taxes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep that in mind if something like that happens to me.
Yeah. Yeah, they set you up. They'll send you a letter every year. So let's see. Should be goddess feeling. That's our James. Booger414 says back then we called them illegal aliens, which could be played for a situational comedy in a show about space. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I know there's an old meme that I remember hearing where it's like, you could make a TV show where you'd have an illegal immigrant and a Catholic priest, and you can just call it Alien versus Predator.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I'm gonna cough. Thank you. That's a good one. James Caserta says he's a Greek god. Wow, didn't know that. Burger says, if mommy is a commie, then you gotta turn her in. Grella's Random Thoughts says, oh my god, time to buy a lottery ticket. A trainee actually followed my instructions when I told them how to do something. What? That's awesome. Okay, so wow, good going hiring that guy. Or Carl, whoever. Awesome. My social security card is so old that it is marked not for identification use.
Thanks.
Gavin says best illegal alien joke is in Aliens when Hudson tells Vasquez when he said aliens, you thought he said illegal aliens.
Yeah, I think she has a good comeback to some of that too.
And with the joke demonetized. Maybe, I don't know. I think it takes a lot more to get demonetized. But if I do, it's like, oh no, I missed out on $5 over the course of several months. I think I'll be fine. Gorilla's random thought says, wasn't a guy, it was a woman. Well, I said both. I said or I did cover both.
Guy or gal.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're back at Karen's house. She's getting over being depressed pretty quickly here. But of course, the story needs to move on. Because of course she also has her husband stuck on the moon, so she has more to worry about. So she's got to find the energy to deal with that too. And the background information is talking about how Kennedy is probably not going to get a second term. Things are not looking good for him, even though he was elected. Usually it's like somebody who got the presidency because the president died or was kicked out of office, and usually they only have one term. But then, yeah, here he's just going to have one term after being elected. FKHC 2005 says it's a woman pretending to be a guy pretending to be a woman. Ooh.
So would that be womanception?
Yeah, some people do go through extra steps, but that's their prerogative.
True.
And Karen's getting ready to face the world again. She was thinking of talking to the other astronaut wives and friends, but she doesn't. She thinks against it. But then she sees Danny, and she almost gets really angry with him. I was afraid for a second, but Danny tells her he's just there to return the derby car, and Danny has some guilt about being the ringleader of their mischiefs, of their all those things they did before, breaking the water meters and the vandalism that they did was all his idea, and he allowed other people to think it was Shane's idea because the school thought it was Shane, and Danny did not speak up for his friend, so he feels upset about that. But Karen's not ready. She's not ready to deal with all that. She's not ready to deal with someone else who is also hurting for the same reason she is. So she goes, but then I don't know what's going through her head, but I'm thinking I like imagining that it's, oh wait, what about that guy who is really who really is comfortable with thinking about death and stuff. And so she goes over to get high with him.
Yeah.
This Kennedy, Teddy, should have driven better.
Well, I think they actually make a point where, because I know the controversy at the time was like in the late 60s, the Chappaquiddick thing. And I think they imply that because of some thing that was going on with the space program, because of, the loss, of the moon, that he wasn't able to attend anything there, so nothing happened, at least on that front. But I mean, he was just as bad as the other Kennedys in terms of like female relationships. So
yeah, right. In this alternate reality, he did not kill his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, she smokes, and so that helps her be able to talk. And so they have a conversation. He tells her how he was expelled from school for taking acid during an organic chemistry final, which also had an oral component to it. So he actually had to speak, and I guess he was peaking from the acid at that moment, and that's what got him expelled from school. And his father disowned him as a result. And for some reason, this story reminds Karen of when she met Ed while he was a little kid. He was shooting off bottle rockets, and they were in love pretty much from the beginning. Burger 414 says, to the day he died in this reality. He claimed he didn't kill her either. Yeah, oh right. Yeah, it's just it's just what people suppose happened. But things do look suspicious.
Yeah. I think they actually made a movie about it.
That makes sense. I've never seen the movie. Have you?
No.
Okay. But yeah, therapy through marijuana.
I think she's having more of a authentic conversation with him than she would even have with the other astronaut wives.
That's true. She is reaching out away from them because the other astronaut wives, they have to put up a certain front, or there's a certain way that they have to behave. And so there are all these, that's another thing with this episode. There are all these rules that they have to follow. I know things have to change. And that's exactly what she says here, is that she doesn't really know any of these ladies. She spends a lot of time with them. She goes to their weddings, she goes to family events, funerals, and everything, and she just doesn't actually, she's realizing she doesn't really connect with them or know them. And I guess the big reveal of this scene is that Wayne's like, well, maybe it is that you don't understand yourself. Oh, since she said she said that line about change, I want to play my line about change.
Change is the essential process of all existence.
And he just has a real classic 70s kind of decor. What I think of the 70s, like, just kind of the stoner aspects of it.
Yeah.
And he's an artist, so it's interesting to know that he could have been a doctor. He could have been he was going through organic chemistry, but I don't know what kind of doctor he was going to be. I forget, like a medical doctor, some
I
kind
think
of doctor.
I think he was trying to go in for like some kind of biomedical doctorate, but then the
Mhm.
LSD episode kind of shot that to hell.
Exactly. FKHC 2005 says Joseph Kennedy must have made a deal with the devil. I bet at a crossroads. Oh,
Well, it's definitely. I mean, there's such thing as the Kennedy curse. So
well,
or
so
at least that's what people say.
Apollo 25 is connecting itself to, they're, I guess, tethering to 24 so that they can fix the computer or change the computer.
Yeah, they're using the command module to link up to the second stage.
Yeah, and this is something, of course, that does happen in reality. Lots of repairs have to happen all the time. They have to do spacewalks to change things, fix things.
Yeah.
And so Molly's performing the repair. And Harry Lou is assisting. And yeah. Oh my goodness. And Ed has to deal with his first encounter with a Russian cosmonaut.
Mhm.
And the cosmonaut's using his elevator. That's
Mhm.
my elevator you're using. And they have a moment, a tense moment.
A little tension.
Yeah, and he's
And
got
it
the
makes you
hammer
think.
here. You're thinking,
Mhm.
oh man, he could very easily cause some issues with that hammer. It does seem a little threatening. And then Ed backs off, and they part. So nothing actually happens at that moment.
Mhm.
And I don't know, the cosmonauts. He's doing something down there. We still don't know what they're doing, what they're up to. And
Yeah, I
so
kind of think he was going down to check the little spy thing they had down there.
oh yeah, the little device. Well, Ed destroyed it, so maybe he made another one that he wanted to put down there. Maybe.
Maybe. I think he just went down there to see why they couldn't see anything else with it.
Mhm.
Oh, it's broken. Okay.
Oh. Oh yeah, and so
Yeah. Disaster strikes.
yes, it's not good. Wait a minute, tank pressure is building up, and I'm showing turbo pumps starting up. Get them away from that booster. It's still armed, Margot things, and so so the it wasn't supposed to fire, but the booster ignited, and Deke slammed into the ship, and Harry slid down to the exhaust plume, and he died instantly.
Yeah.
He pretty much got eaten up by the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And Molly, oh man, Molly disconnects the tether because she wants them to save the ship. I think that's pretty incredible. What's part of this?
Yeah.
So Tracy's trying to regain control, but they're still tethered to 24.
Mm-hmm.
And Molly's like, "Okay, I will untether." And Tracy's like, "No, you do that, and you cut your own safety line." And Molly says, "Who gives a damn? Save the ship." And I think it's pretty incredible of her. But then they have this situation where they're gonna have to they're gonna want to save her.
Yeah.
Because now Molly's just drifting off. So because what happened was the new computer told the ship to go before it was supposed to go. It wasn't supposed to go. Obviously, none of this was supposed to happen. It was a mistake, a programming error of some sort, or a reset error. Errors happen, but when the errors involve this kind of destruction, it really sucks.
Yeah.
And so Harry's dead. Just
Yeah, I think at this point he's the only one, aside from the Apollo 1 astronauts, that have died in the quest for space travel.
Oh yeah, he's the first one in space to die, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
At
And
least for America.
he had for America. Oh, that's right. The cosmonauts had people die.
Yeah.
But he had a family. We didn't really know too much about his character. Yeah, we didn't know pretty much anything about his character. I can't think of anything else he did except this was our first time seeing him on a mission.
Yeah.
So, bye, Harry. FKHC 2005 says Joseph Kennedy must have made a deal with the devil. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I already read that.
Sorry.
And so she untethers so that the two ships can go their way. And it's getting farther off. Okay, so Molly is able to keep her cool even though she's got untethered. She's just floating around and she's just like, okay, this is fine. My ship just is like 100 yards away and it's getting further. And Margot has to decide between saving Apollo 25, the crew who went up for the mission to repair the computer, or to save Molly. And so she was making the call to save the Apollo 25. But Apollo 24 is all going off to space. Nobody knows where they're going because those after they ignited, they're on their way. They're on their journey. Not quite to the moon. They're 1,000 miles off. They're 1,000 miles off their course.
Yeah, they're gonna overshoot the moon by 1,000 miles.
Basic kid, my number's up. At least the view's amazing. That's a good line from Molly.
Yeah.
And Margot doesn't. I don't know if she just doesn't see how they could save Molly and the Apollo 25 crew. But Gordo disagrees. It seems everyone disagrees with Margot on this one. I guess it's a bad call on her part. Tracy disagrees too. And that's the thing is, even if your ground crew is on your side, if the astronauts disagree, they're pretty much going to do what they want. You can't really do too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess when they come home, you can. But it all depends on how it plays out. If it succeeds or not will determine how they're viewed. Because Tracy disagrees with Margot. Everybody disagrees with Margot today. Nobody wants to follow her orders, which is good because they're gonna save Molly. And Gordo has an idea. He shows Tracy how to manually steer the ship towards Molly. And Tracy's losing fuel in order to do this. And I want to say hello to Edge of Time. Are you clicking a pen or something? Just curious.
No.
All right. And yeah, greetings from the Edge of Time. Great to see you, Edge of Time. How are you doing today? So the problem here is Molly's been showing her flashlight, but the flashlight battery died out. So now the Apollo 25 turns on their light, and eventually Molly guides them. She guides them to turn on their light to shine on her, and they find her, and she's saved. Yay! And so they managed to get her, successfully recovering her. But Deke and Ellen can't communicate. I guess I think later on we find out one of the antennas was destroyed or something, so that's why they can't do the long range communications. And so this whole sequence was done really well because it was it was interesting to see how they had to this was all making math exciting, the thrilling nature of rocket science.
Yeah.
And how fast Molly was drifting away and how they have to deal with the different velocities and, and positioning and how to travel, and they have different orbits, so they have to figure out how to intersect, and it's a tricky business. And DJ Play Nice is here. Hey, DJ Play Nice, hope you're doing well today. And meanwhile, Apollo 24 is headed to Jupiter. I don't know. They don't exactly say Jupiter. Deke says Jupiter, so I'm taking his word for it. He's an astronaut. He probably did the math. He says they're essentially headed to Jupiter, with food for a few days or so. But of course they're supposed to be headed to the moon, so that's not good. But we cut over to Ed. Here's a knock on the door. Is it the Fuller Brushman or the Avon lady?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there was there's a cosmonaut at the door. He doesn't have enough oxygen to get back to the base. Which was it Ed who caused this to happen? Like he did something to his rover somehow? Like when did that happen?
Yeah, I forget exactly.
Because I feel like I missed something.
I know I think something had happened to where, yeah, he wouldn't have enough oxygen to get back to the base, and so he would have to, either make it back to the American base or uh, chance his uh, chance himself to get to the Soviet base.
I think I need to sneeze. I'm gonna be a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder what it's like to sneeze in an astronaut suit. This would be really uncomfortable.
It's a story I
mean-
don't think they talk about enough. It's had to have happened already.
Well, yeah, it has to. Anyway. Anyway, so I guess now he's got his cosmonaut. I guess he wanted to meet him. So he's forcing this meeting. He wants to interrogate. He wants to interrogate him. But I only know that because of seeing the next episode. The first time I watched this, I had no clue that was what was happening. I didn't even know that he had sabotaged his rover. I just thought, oh no, this cosmonaut needs help, and I thought that Ed was committing murder here. It just looked like it, and I was so pissed when I watched this because I thought, it makes sense to have Gordon melt down and everything, but making Ed a murderer, that made me so mad. Because I didn't buy it for his character at all. And so I should have just trusted this show to be good because it is good.
Yeah.
But I see character assassinations in storytelling so often that I thought that's what was happening here. But I was wrong, fortunately. And yeah. Well, that's what they wanted me to believe. So good job, show, for making me believe that. But of course, they tricked me.
Yeah. It's always good that they can do that without having to make the audience look too foolish.
Yeah, it was perfect. Well done. I enjoyed it. GG Playknight says, looking good and feeling fine. Even better than usual, actually. Because I was able to work through a misunderstanding with a friend, and it makes my heart happy. That's so good. That is always a good thing. I am sure relieved to hear that. So I like this. I like that I like this episode because Deke, Harry, and Ellen went to save Ed, but Ed ends up saving Ellen anyway. Oh, jeez. Rest in peace, Harry. And, well, we'll see what happens with Deke in the next episode. In A City Upon a Hill. Mm-hmm. Oh, my notes are missing for the next episode. Hold on. Let me find them. Just take a moment. Mm-hmm. So it's just starter notes. So this is the last episode of season 1. So we're at the finale of season 1. It was aired on December 20th, 2019. It's a little longer because it's last episode. And last days, so it's last days of 1974, just before New Year's. This episode was written by Matt Wolpert and Ben Nadivi. And it was also directed by John Dahl. Always a good news when you have recurring directors.
Yep.
And Harold Weisner, the NASA administrator. Okay, so I always love the pictures of the orbits.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of their the way they're able to recreate the kind of look of the way the visuals would have been at the time, and it gets better with every season as they kind of adapt to every decade that they're set.
Yes, here they're playing. It really looks like actual historical notes of what's going on. And here they're thinking that there was sabotage. The problems in space happened because of sabotage by the Russians, but from everything we're seeing, we don't see any of that. They're just rumors that are happening because of the climate, of the political climate, and all of that happening. And we've had and he's having to deal with all these accidents happening in space. What kind of chicken shit operation are you running down there? And he's already having other political issues. Mm-hmm. You get those astronauts back home. You hear me, Harold? Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. Did we miss the scene where Ellen brings Deke back aboard? Or not yet.
I think we may have.
I think we did. She brings him back aboard, and so that they can repressurize the cabin and everything. But it turns out he's got a puncture in his suit because there's a piece of shrapnel from the tragedy from the accident pierced his suit, and so he's got injuries that she's helping him with. She stitches him up. She applies pressure, and they find out they can't talk to Houston, so they're alone. They can't talk to anybody on Apollo 24.
Mhm.
And Ed, back on the moon base, is meeting his prisoner that he captured. And his name is Mikhail, but he's calling him Ivan. He's just calling him Ivan, even after he learns his name. He's just like
Mhm.
Ivan. And Ed knows that he can speak English, so he calls him out on that. And so that's the thing.
Yeah.
And Soviet, yeah, he says that he's not doing anything, but of course he's not going to explain. There's never an explanation for that. He never gives it up. And Ed says, "What are you doing in our territory?" And Mikhail's like, "Well, the moon belongs to everyone." And just like the eh, and if it depended on who got there first, then the Russian landed on the moon first. And that guy said that it belongs to everyone. But Ed remembers it differently. He remembers the part about it being for a Marxist Leninist way of life or something like that. So that's what he
Yeah.
remembers.
Mhm.
They both have their perceptions. But it's just trying to figure out what's going on with the Russians on the moon, and it culminated to this. And Mikhail says, my friends are going to come look for me, but Ed's like, no, they can't. You only have one rover. So he calls him out on that one, at least. And there we go. So they're celebrating. Mission Control is happy. Mission Control is very happy because at least, well, Apollo 24 is still missing, but Apollo 25 is able to land safely, having been able to save Molly. But they're still unable to communicate with Apollo 24. But they have to celebrate when something good happens. So at least we got 25 and they're alive. Cam's Crash Courses is here. Hello, Cam. How are you doing? Hi, all. Hello. Good to see you. Howdy. That's great about your friend. Cheers, bud. So they're happy about 25, curious about 24. All we know that is that they're headed to deep space. And so then we cut to them. We cut to Apollo 24, and Ellen is dressing Deke's wound. Doesn't look too bad at this point. And they're going to try to get back to they're miles off course. So they're astronauts. They know they're off course. They know they're going too fast in order to be captured by the lunar orbit. So they're going to try to slow down. They're going to try to slow down their orbit, and they're going to do another burn in order to achieve that, which is an interesting notion. One thing I'm kind of confused about, I know that the LM, the lifeboat, I guess it was too heavy or something. They have to get rid of it. But I don't know. Seems kind of strange. They call it a lifeboat for a reason. You think it'd be useful in some way. But that's just a guess.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
And I'd like to talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about with this stuff to see what they think. If they think this was a good idea, was it a good idea to get rid of the LM or whatever it is? CSM. Sorry, CSM. Was it a good idea to get rid of this? And so here's Aleda's room, and And she finds out her dad's being sent back to Mexico because if he's caught again, he'll be sent to prison. So he's got to go to Mexico. But she can stay there. Apparently everything's fine for her staying there.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really unfortunate for him. But I'm interested to see where that story goes. It's such a drawn out story, though. It's just this is the truly serialized portion of this TV show. Yeah, I think next season it becomes far less serialized.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Okay, because she gets a little more integrated into the show, which is good news. Because it's harder to care about her stuff.
Yeah, she's bumped up to, I think, main cast next season.
Okay, yeah, right, because they move ahead to 1983. So sometime next season, the alternate anti-derivative Jill is going to be born. Because I'm born in the 80s.
It's kind of funny because I think they open up the third season the year I'm born. So I don't know, maybe this show is just trying to be that much special.
Mm-hmm. Nice. With unexpected firing of Apollo 24's stage IBB engine. And so they're of course, everybody's saying, was it Soviet sabotage? And like, no, it wasn't Soviet sabotage. And so then they want to know what the problem was, so they're still trying to figure out how that happened. Last time something like this happened where the other ship exploded, it turned out it was because of a bad contract. Somebody picked a bad contractor for political purposes. And the person that Von Braun wanted to make the component, it was sold to someone else who was not as good. And that caused the tragedy. So it'll be interesting to see if we ever find out what caused this. I guess we're never going to find out what caused this. It was just a computer error, but how it happened, I don't think we ever actually tie that up. It seems like that just happens.
I don't think so. I think it was
tragedy.
I think the way it breaks down is that Apollo 22 is what Danielle, Ed, and Gordo were on, and then Apollo 23 was the big disaster.
Yes.
And 24 was the one with Ellen and Deke and Harry. And then Apollo 25 was with Molly and Tracy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Molly and Tracy.
Ted Kennedy is pretty correct to be frustrated with all these things happening.
They seem to be stacking up.
Yeah.
They seem to be stacking up, especially with having Ed stranded also. Nothing seems to be going quite right. And so that's happening. We need to use the RCS. We burnt through that. And we won't be able to control the vehicle. And so this is why later on they're all wobbly. All right, firing all 4 RCS thrusters. So they're doing it anyway. And the ground crew finally finds out they're alive and that they've corrected their trajectory towards the moon because they burned off all they could. But they're like 25, 30 feet off. And just that little bit is enough to not be good enough somehow. And Aleda's there. She's there. She wants to live with. She wants to live with them. I don't know if that's the scene. That's not there yet. She wants to live with Margot. That's why she's there. They're trying to send communications to Ed. They can save they can save Apollo 24, but they need Ed's help. But Ed is still moping around collecting Soviet prisoners, and I don't know. He's not paying
And
attention.
NASA's not even aware that he's doing that.
No, yeah, right. He didn't tell Houston about, not Ivan. His name's not Ivan. Mikhail.
Mhm.
Although Ivan's a lot easier to say than Mikhail.
Russian Michael.
Russian Michael. Yeah, it would be just so easier to just say Michael, right?
Mhm.
Mikhail. He's saying the obvious because of the time that passed and everything, because of the amount of oxygen he has. His crew will logically think that he's dead. And let's see. Ed's not answering any of NASA's messages. But Mikhail won't tell him. Mikhail wants some water, but Ed's like, okay, I'll give you some water if you tell me what what you guys are doing. What are you building? And Mikhail deflects this by saying what his plan is. What's your plan? And also Mikhail tries to relate to Ed because he knows he lost his son. He talks about, he knows it's not the same, but that his daughter was sick when she was a baby, and she still to this day has to go to the hospital every month. But that doesn't get through. And then he just starts insulting America, and he's like, America, drops bombs, and they're terrible. And so Ed gets mad and starts slapping him. So he does cause Ed to get upset. He gets to him in some kind of way. Ed thinks he's lying about his sick daughter, but I don't think he is. Mikhail. I'm not even going to try the middle name or the last name. I'm happy with Mikhail. He gives his full name though.
Mhm.
Mm. Oh, he gives him all the possible plans that he can have. You could just, you could just kill me, but Ed says no. I'm not. Yeah, of course that's not in his character.
Mhm.
But I don't know what he's doing here, Mikhail. Like it's like Mikhail's asking to be killed. He's like, oh no, yeah, you're America. You don't kill, except you do.
He's doing a lot not to make a really good case for himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why he does that. It's really strange. Cam's doing well. That's good. Yeah, we're having a good time. And Elena wants to live with Margot, but at this point, it seems like she's going to be able to stay with the family that she's been staying with, even though her dad's not there anymore. The woman, but Elena doesn't want to live with that woman. But Margot's like, you'll be able to figure something out, but unfortunately, that's not where. Right now, it seems like Elena has a home, but then she goes home, and the place has been seized. So not only did her dad get deported, but everybody she lived with were were sent out on the street or sent somewhere else. Or I don't know how many people were deported from this house. I just, we don't know what happens to anybody here. But
No.
somebody messed up all of her papers. They took them away. They removed most of her photos. Except for the one that except for the paper that she had under her mattress. So she had one of those papers, so she was able to save some of it. But she doesn't want to go to Mexico. So her dad's like, "Oh no, everybody's gone. You have to come to Mexico. I'll get you a bus ticket." But she doesn't want to go to Mexico. So she lies and says Margot says that she could stay with her, but we had, and now Aleda, I guess she's homeless now.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long that lasts. Or I guess we
Yeah.
won't. We're just gonna see the ramifications, or just I guess hear about what happened.
I suppose it's one way to put it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Her dad's happy that Margot's gonna take care of her, and she gets some clothes and her acceptance letter to the Kennedy school. And they're discussing all the different ways they're going to die. Which way do you pick? You got choices. He tells her, well, you've always had a bit of John Glenn in you, which is really high praise, obviously. And we find out Deke is dying from internal injuries. So he's he's not doing well.
No.
And he tells her that when she walks into the room, people listen to her. And he talks about how how whenever astronauts go into space, they leave a message in case they die to their families, whatever they would want to tell them if they did die. And he didn't write a very good letter for his wife. He only had 2 minutes to write something because he got so busy with other stuff and he didn't prioritize it. And so now he's upset that he didn't get to tell her more. And then he asks her about Larry and the proposal and everything, and so she tells him she and everything, but she couldn't go on. She's feeling the weight of mortality, and like, what is the point of lying anymore if you're gonna be heading to your death? So she tells the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That she doesn't love Larry, that she loves Pam, the bartender, and Deke thought she was joking, but no, he doesn't react too well to the news that she's a lesbian.
No.
Which, in that time, you can understand that. And I want to say hello to Real Wade Nation Gaming. How are you? Bartender. And Pam has a really good scene pretty soon too. Or I don't remember if it's the first episode or the second episode. I think it's the second one. Yeah, it's second.
Yeah.
It's this episode. Yeah, it's coming up. And Ed, she's missing Ed, obviously. So then we cut to Ed. And Mikhail is singing. He's singing Russian songs, so Ed tells him to stop singing. And they start talking about Elvis. He was banned in the USSR, but because when things are banned, usually that's when they're more popular. So they found ways to bootleg it and listen to him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the story that Karen wanted Elvis playing "Love Me Tender," and Ed wanted Sinatra, but of course she won the choice there. Makes sense. And so they have that discussion of that, talking about music, appreciation for at least some American pop culture, which is a good kind of, I don't know, a way to not necessarily bond. I don't think if you're tying somebody up and interrogating them, you can call it bonding exactly, but his prisoner is trying to connect with him in some way.
Yeah.
And since Ed is ignoring all the communications earlier in the episode, they said we have to communicate with him some way, and so they decide to send Morse code messages using the lighting. Oh, what? That sound? I hear something that's going on in the background, and I need to go check it out. If you could talk for me for a minute, I'll be right back, please.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the scene where they are looking at the lights and they're seeing that the pulses of the light are the pattern. So they get kind of the idea that someone's trying to communicate with them, and we know it's NASA. And I think this is where the communication between NASA and Ed on the base are realigned.
All right, so he finally looks at the dot matrix printer.
Yeah, they actually don't. I don't know. I mean, it's implied that there's like tons and tons of dot matrix paper that he's just not paying attention to. It's just kind of like collecting on the side.
Yeah, it's a lot of paper.
So it's like, maybe it wouldn't hurt to check maybe once in every couple of reams.
That was his grieving process, is to ignore everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just needed some alone time, and we're glad you came back up to the surface.
Yeah.
He's saying this was due to a prolonged communication failure. Ooh, look at that. Pearl fine lager beer. Interesting. Sometimes set dressing's fun to look at.
Yep.
And so the only information that Larry will tell Pam, of course being her lover of Ellen, but they're not together anymore because Ellen wants to be in NASA, so she has to give that up just to give up being herself.
Yeah.
And
in the
so
marriage
Larry,
and all that.
Yeah, so she married Larry, and Larry is telling Pam that Ellen is alive. But that's all he could tell her. He can't tell her anymore because it would be a risk. And Karen's stopping by to be at the outpost. She misses Ed. She's trying to figure things out, and she doesn't care about the rules anymore. The wives shouldn't go to the outpost. It's like an unwritten rule. There's lots of unwritten rules that the wives of astronauts have to follow, but Pam isn't very sympathetic towards it because she doesn't get to. She's kind of mean, but you can kind of understand because she wants to be married to an astronaut. She doesn't get to marry her astronaut.
Yeah. Well, time will tell.
Hey, no spoilers.
No. Try to keep it as vague as possible. Maybe not. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but somehow Karen's really understanding and she realizes that Pam is friends with all of the astronauts, and in particular, she's friends with Ellen. She does just call her a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
But so because of that, Karen invites her to go to ground control, or whatever we call it.
Yeah. Mission control.
And mission control. Thank you.
I mean, I do like how that's the thing that makes Pam show up at NASA instead of, it's very organic how that's kind of set up. Whereas, I mean, just to have had her show up would have been maybe a little like how'd that happen? But now there's a way for Pam to get there that seems pretty natural for for both of them, really, because I mean Karen's coming there to kind of decompress, and she's like, hey, you can just come with me and it'd be cool.
Right, because she wants to be there for Ed, and Pam does apologize for being rude when she finds out that it's Karen. Because I guess maybe you do have reason to feel sorry for yourself because your husband's been stuck on the moon forever. So I guess that's a good enough reason. But yeah. Not to mention her son. But she says, I didn't come here looking for pity. I liked it better when you were being a bitch. Let's go to the SJSC. Yeah. So they both have people they care about up in space. And they're going to go to mission control to see how Apollo 24 is doing. Ed's got to help with Apollo 24 to get it back on track. And Margot's doing the math. Use the LSAM engine to slow the orbit. Ellen and Deke will just keep drifting off into space if they don't get it right. If they don't slow down enough.
I didn't notice that before. Huh.
Then they decide to use Apollo 15 because it's still got some fuel on it and it's still useful somehow. I always thought, you could only just leave that there. It's just like, it just stays there. But I guess they had enough fuel in it to be useful.
Yeah. I think somewhere around, I guess after, in our reality, Apollo 17 is where we stopped, and in the series we're at Apollo 25. So at some point in between the Apollo 17 and Apollo 25, I guess they stopped calling the lunar module the LEM, and they started calling it the LSAM, which just means lunar surface access module. And I do remember hearing some stories about them kind of doing something like that, kind of modifying the lunar module to accommodate movement from the surface to space, and anybody coming to and from the moon, that would be your primary point of access to the surface.
Oh, that's a really interesting thing that this show does. Is it takes actual plans for the future and makes them reality. Anytime actual rocket scientists come up with new technologies and things, this show, I guess, makes it real in some cases. And I guess that's one of the cases.
Yeah, I think the show does a pretty good job of kind of adapting the stuff that I know they were discussing at the Apollo applications program. And that was kind of like them kind of like dreaming up all the wacky kind of things you could get away with Apollo technology. Because, I mean, they also went ahead and said that they wanted to convert a Apollo module both the command module or the command module have to a flyby around Venus in the 70s, basically around the time that this episode is set. And so kind of makes me wonder if, even to this day, we don't really know if because we're only told, as far as the show goes, that we've been to the moon and we've kind of gone a few other places, but we haven't gone to Venus. And there's talk that in the time that we could have done a flyby of Venus. And so I'm kind of wondering if they do the spinoff of Star City, because I know there's been a lot of talk at that point in time in the 70s, where even now you have Russian space agency people talking about how Mars or Venus is a Russian planet. And so I'm kind of wondering if that's what they'll do with that show eventually, is that's where we'll go with Venus. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Oh, but when you step on Venus, everything melts. It might cause a problem.
Well, no, I mean it's just the plans that I think that they were talking about is just a flyby. So there's no
just a flyby. Okay, so nobody's going to be landing on Venus. All right.
No, but I mean it would be kind of cool to fly a glider through the upper atmosphere of Venus, because I mean that can be doable. I'm told it's like semi-habitable at the upper cloud tops. So.
Mm-hmm. So you just have to fly forever.
Yeah.
So they have a 33-minute window in which Apollo 24 will be within lunar orbit range. And so they have to do everything within that window. They have 5 hours to prepare or so to prepare for this. And Ed is in on this too. He's watching. And because they're gonna save Ellen from being lost in space.
Mm-hmm.
And Gordo says there's an issue with the distance. Oh, and that's how they come up with the idea to use the Apollo 15. That's his idea. And so they get started on that. The LMSYS. Oh, hey, there's our Apollo 25 crew. Tracy, Molly, Dennis, Lambert.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. See, there was another astronaut. I was just thinking Dennis. I was thinking Tracy and Molly, but wasn't there a third one? And I didn't want to ask because I didn't know who it was, but it's in my notes now. So it's Dennis Lambert with Tracy Stevens.
Each mission has had 3 people, but 2 of the main cast on Apollo 25.
Yeah, he was just extra.
Yeah,
and everybody's celebrating. Gordo and Tracy, wow, all they needed was major tragedy to strike, and they're in love again. That's nice.
That's all it needs to take.
It really helps.
And then Molly is pretty much in agreement with Margot that if the positions were switched, that she would have made the same call.
Yeah, I do like her attitude. That I get it. She gets it. She can handle it. She can handle the idea that she understands the needs of the mini speech without anybody explaining it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And no, really, she's just there to tell her about the short range radio that might still be working, so that Apollo 24 can speak with Ed, so they should be able to communicate. And I do appreciate that Margot is having a bit of an emotional breakdown from it, but she doesn't actually break down. So maybe breakdown isn't the right word, but she is definitely affected. She holds it together though.
Mm-hmm.
And Gordo Gordo and Tracy have a nice moment where he gives her a pin.
Mm-hmm.
She pins.
Yeah, it's a very nice moment and a great gesture for him.
It is. And I don't know why Deke is giving her lectures about the security risks, about her sexuality, opening herself up to blackmail, manipulation. That's been the conceit of this series so far. Is that's why that can't be the you can't be out of the closet in the show, but.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're about to die, it's kind of crazy to to be bringing that up.
Yeah.
But he is suffering. And Ed wants to work alone. But Mikhail wants to help him in order to
Mm-hmm.
help save Ellen and Deke. And there's only one. I want to get more clips of the show. I want to start working on this sooner so that I could get more clips, because there's some really good clips. But I did manage to get this one. This one's my favorite line of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if I get a copyright claim for it. If I don't get a copyright claim, I'm going to try to add more clips next time. So this is our experiment.
You're not in Korea anymore. We are on a dark ocean together. We have no choice but to trust each other. Let me help you.
Yeah, he even cites international law to render assistance.
Yes, he does. Here, let me see. When a ship is in distress, international law gives obligation to assist rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that too. That's good. But I got to keep it under 10 seconds. I think that was about 8 seconds. Hopefully that's okay.
Yeah.
It's always a game of trying to figure out how long a clip you can get. And hail to Dave C. How are you, Dave C?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as soon as I start adding more clips into my own podcasting stuff, I'm gonna need to keep it in mind that you have to keep the clips below a certain time limit.
Yes. And it varies. Like, I can put a clip of the Orville that lasts a long time and they don't mind. So it all depends on the show. Some shows let you share more, some less, some not at all. I tried sharing clips of Superman, and I get when I did that stream a long time ago, and I got copyright claimed for all that. So it just depends what it is that you're sharing.
It's good to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. So he's gonna help. So Ed and Mikhail go to the Apollo 25 rover to prepare it, and the way that NASA just explained in the previous scenes. You're worried about that short little clip? Come to my Walton stream and see how much I show, says Gorilla. Oh, that would give me anxiety, Gorilla. I have to watch your show if you share more than 8 seconds. I'd like to say hello to our madman. 4. Listening while working. I hope you're having a good day at work. Our madman. Currently, Ed and the Russian cosmonaut Mikhail are preparing the Apollo 15 to go save the Apollo 24 that is drifting off into space, and it's going to drift off into space unless Ed can get them some fuel, get them to so that they can get into orbit. so that they can slow down enough to get into lunar orbit. And they only have 33 minutes in which to do that.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, just about the 33 minutes kind of, because there's an episode of the new Battlestar where I think the first episode of the regular show was 33 in reference to 33 minutes every time the Cylons showed up. So I don't know. I make connections sometimes.
okay, but yeah, that show was by Ronald D. Moore, so that connection is probably spot on. So that's well spotted. I'm sure that was an intentional connection in that case.
Well, I'd hope so. Or it's just a special number they like to
Right.
have show up every once in a while.
Oh, and he gives him back the part that he needs for his rover to work. So that's kind of funny after the fact.
Yeah.
And they have a good moment. He says, "Good luck." International cooperation. I like it. There. We'll see how all that goes. Hey, I was thinking, hey, Mikhail, look, it's a base. Nobody's there. You can do stuff. Just kidding. None of that happens though, fortunately. Dalek 451, it's here. Hey. Also, Eugene Bird. Hello. How are you two? How are you guys doing? Once they're in range, you should be able to raise them on your short range VHF. So they're back at the mission control. Ellen is feeding Peak. And they get a message from Jamestown, the moon base. Ed is here. Ellen says, "We're here to rescue you," which is Ellen. Ed is going to rescue them.
Yeah.
24 burned all the RCS. Okay, and because they did that, they're wobbly. And so no matter how hard he tries, Ed will never be able to dock. And I don't even know if these ships were even made for that. I think there's a little more elements of science fiction with that kind of thought. I don't know if that ship would do that.
Well, I mean, I think the only way they're designed to dock is that the command module has like a point, and then there's a hatch at the top of the lunar module, and they connect that way. But yeah, I don't think you can catch up to it to do that maneuver, especially with the fuel, I believe.
That makes sense to me. Dalek 451 says, "Is Raymond Feliciano here?" Oh, can you hear that banging in the background?
No.
No, you can't? Okay, good. My daughter's having some fun, I guess. Is Raymond Feliciano here? Got something to tell him. Oh, okay, Dalek. Raymond is not here today, but he's usually working while I'm streaming. But you can catch him on Twitter, or tomorrow he's having a show. He's got a Wednesday show tomorrow where he's going to do his Radio King Dolphin TV show, where he's going to read some of his book with Agent Pepsi 1, who is a fan of this show. Don't tell anyone else what you told me. Yeah, right. Okay, so Deke's giving her the advice. Don't tell anybody else what you just told me in terms of her sexuality and all that. It's I appreciate that he's uncomfortable with it, but at the same time, he looks past it. He sees the good in the good in her, and that she has potential. And he doesn't want her to lose that. She didn't want anybody to lose out on what she can offer.
Yeah.
And so that's basically their keep it to yourself. DJ Play Nice. Eugene Bird says, DJ Play Nice, rock on, Mr. Golden Tones. Salute to the Jill regulars, like our Madman 4. I'll be stuck catching the replay later. Yeah, we're almost done with the second episode, but it's been pretty thrilling couple of episodes, and I've been enjoying the series so far. This is the last episode of season 1. So next Tuesday we're going to move on to season 2. Oh, that's okay, Jill. If he's not here, I'll just tell him to do it in his show tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So they're trying to figure out a way around the docking solution when Ellen decides, hey, he doesn't need to dock. He can just toss me. He can just toss the fuel to me.
Yeah.
Why not? And all right. Oh, and Weisner, what is he? NASA commissioner or something? He's like, no, this is. He doesn't like the idea of. He's a what?
He's a NASA administrator.
Yeah, he's a NASA administrator. He doesn't like the idea of throwing the fuel. But Margot tells him to shut up or off. Yeah. And well, it's kind of like, I don't know, when the ambassador shows up on the Enterprise or something. Oh, hold on just a moment. I need a second. My daughter needs me. I'll be right back.
Okay. Take your time. No. Don't think that the tank would be that small.
It's just like tossing small people in space. Okay, Dog 451 says it's nothing urgent. Raymond sent me a parcel. Oh, cool! You got a thing. Okay, so yeah, and space, like I was saying earlier, you don't have to worry about weight, but it is more about mass and acceleration, and the fact that it's inertia is your problem in space. And Ed gets the tank while Ellen gets ready to catch it, but it goes too high. She wasn't able to reach it, so she decides to jump to reach it, and she's barely able to hold on to it, but she's just able to grab it. It's pretty cool. And everybody celebrates, impressed by the bravery, of course, and the success of it.
Yeah, I think the scientific accuracy of this thing could probably be a little off, but I'm okay. This is one of those things I'm willing to forgive.
I was curious about that too. It seems okay.
Yeah.
I bought it in the moment.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
But they don't get to celebrate for too long because they realize that Deke has passed. He's gone. Mm-hmm. He's gone. He's succumbed to the internal injuries from the piece of shrapnel that pierced his spacesuit earlier.
Mhm.
and him also.
Yeah.
So he's gone, and so Marge has to deal with that. Oh no, my doorbell rang. Okay, so I
Oh,
have to go see what that is. I'm gonna
okay.
play a video or something. Let's see. I don't know what to put. I gotta go. Please say something for me. I'll be right back.
Will do. Yeah, tragedy strikes right here, and yeah, I think he was actually the best character of this season, and yeah, it was a shame that we lost him, but it makes perfect sense. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I think it serves a purpose in the story. Yeah, I think next season, or next week when we dive into next season, I think I think every season kind of ratchets up the tension and creates a situation that I guess every season it kind of builds towards a big sort of event that all the characters have to kind of work towards solving in a way. And yeah, I think with the exception of the Expanse, I think For All Mankind is definitely a great addition to the science fiction television landscape. Um, I don't believe For All Mankind is a. Some people have made the contention that For All Mankind is a like a prequel to The Expanse, and I don't agree. I can see how, because in terms of just the space apparatus that's built up afterwards, but um, the creators of this show were saying that they created it strictly as like a sort of faux prequel to Star Trek. So, as Star Trek is like my number one fandom, I'm definitely of the opinion that this would fit right in. You could watch For All Mankind, and if you wanted to watch Star Trek in chronological order, I really think you can watch For All Mankind first, and then kind of dive right into Star Trek Enterprise, and then go from there. But yeah, one day I'm gonna have to try that. Maybe once the show's over. So once we get past seventh season, we do like a rewatch of it, of the whole thing. DJ Play Nice. Do I feel okay? Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. Getting up early is definitely a new thing for me, but I have to get used to it because I'm going to be teaching at San Diego State University, a teaching associate. So I am going to have to get used to waking up early, and so this is a great way to do that. I think so. I think with time I'll get used to it. What position or job at Mission Control would I want to do? I think Capcom might be fun, but I think they reserve that position for strictly astronauts because they usually like to have astronauts talk to other astronauts. They don't really like to have like random people that aren't in that sphere talking to the astronauts. So, but it would be kind of cool because you would be talking to astronauts all the time. So, if they made an exception for me, I would absolutely do that job. What department? My training is in because it's for the uh, MFA in creative writing, so it's in the English department. And yeah, I got my bachelor's in rhetoric and composition from Cal State Long Beach over here in California. Um, last spring, and last spring is in 23. But they have like this policy where I guess you apply for your master's program in like by December of the previous year. So you're basically applying fall semester for the next fall semester. So I applied to like 6 schools. I got into like 3 of them. I got into Cal State Long Beach, Chapman University and San Diego State. I chose San Diego State ultimately because they told me that I was whatever I'm writing was something they want in the program. The other two programs I got into really didn't say anything about the work itself, and that kind of didn't rub me the wrong way, but it was kind of strange.
Oh, okay. I'm back now. Thank you so much for filling in that space.
Of course.
And FKHC is going to be right back.
Yeah. They asked
Play Nice asked you those questions. That's great.
And I tried to answer to the best of my ability, but
yeah. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. I think I heard that last one. You said you wanted to work at Capcom. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So there's a connecting story arc here where earlier Marge was comforting Karen and now Karen is comforting Marge now that Deke has died. And
the tables have turned.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a temporary grave here. Obviously, I'm sure they'll be coming back for his body eventually. In a later mission.
I can't say anything.
Well, I mean, you're not going to leave somebody under a rock on another world, on the moon.
I mean, you can't have what Harrison Liu had, which is like an instant cremation, but
Yeah, shoot, that's not funny, but it is.
Well,
why isn't it okay?
Dark humor.
It is.
But yeah, they're now the last two people, Americans, on the moon in the moon base, and yeah, he's like refusing, and I can't really tell if it's out of like mild sexism or not, because he's at first he's kind of refusing to give up his position.
I don't think chivalry is sexism, actually, but yeah, it could be that. It could be that. It could be that he doesn't want to leave a lady alone on the moon, and I don't blame him. Yeah. But this is a professional operation, and the plan was for Apollo 24 to replace to relieve Ed, and Ed really needs to go because he's psychologically speaking, he needs to deal with his grieving. He needs to deal with his family. He's
I mean, he doesn't
important.
Yeah, he relents pretty quickly. So I think even he, once he considers it a little bit, kind of
he lines up. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's relieved. And so yeah, she relieves him of his duties and sending him alone back to Earth on Osprey. But he really didn't want to, especially with the stuff happening with the Soviets on the moon base. He really does want to leave. I think it's partially not wanting to leave the lady alone. Yeah. I think it's both.
Yeah. I mean, he does have that military background, so he's kind of always like thinking, I got to do this, because it's the mission. It's like, your mission is now over. Your relief is here,
And he eventually gets with the program.
Yeah. Because, I mean, she's not military, but she still is able to, have leadership and, the command. Now she's the only one commanding the base, but, still.
Right. Oh, did I miss a screenshot of oh no, I don't know if I missed it or not. But Ellen's being interviewed over Deke's death. Oh, well, I guess maybe also Harry's death. Harry, Harry, left his.
She's kind of having to make the point that despite all the death, all the tragedy over the last few months, that is space travel really worth it? And I think she makes a really good point about why it is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, she makes such a good point. I copied down the dialogue for this speech. So they say, Commander, with the loss of Deke Slayton and Harry Lou, space travel is seeming like a very dangerous endeavor. With what you've been through, do you feel it's still worth it? And Ellen says, worth it? I mean, it's dangerous. Lives have been lost, and honestly, probably more will be lost. But every one of us knew the risks before we joined, the toll it takes on us and the ones we love. But we all signed up just the same. It's the price we pay to push forward, to explore the universe and wander into the unknown, pushing ourselves to the limits of what's possible. Oh, this is the scene I wanted of Ed experiencing intense grief as he's making it back home.
Yeah.
It's the price we pay to push forward, to explore the universe and wonder the unknown, pushing ourselves to the limits of what's possible. Are there sacrifices that have to be made? Of course. But sacrifice is a part of any journey. It's like those caravans, the wagon trains that crossed our country 100 years ago in search of a new home, or the ships that sailed across the Atlantic in search of a new world. Taking on these great challenges against great odds, that's what makes us human. Remember, we chose to go to the moon not because it was easy, but because it was hard. So yes, I think it's worth it. And of course, that was an actual quote. She was actually quoting JFK from his address at Rice University on September 12, 1962, where JFK said, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and the other things, not because it was easy, but because it was hard." Yeah. And DJ Play Nice says, "A friend of mine just won tickets to see Barry Manilow." She invited me as her +1. Manilow doesn't really rock, but live music happens once, so Barry rocks. Hey, congratulations. I hope you enjoy your time with your friend. That'll be the cool part, that you're hanging out with a friend.
One of our arenas? Wonder where that's at.
But no, that was a good speech. That was a good defense of space travel. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Oh my.
Nothing worthwhile is easy to do, says our madman 4. No greater love than this, that someone lays down their life for their friends. I would add, for a cause as well.
Yep. Anything worthwhile.
And I like where she finds an ant. She doesn't know anything about the ants.
No.
She doesn't know about Danny's ant farm breaking and Gordon freaking out about ants being everywhere in the machines, which is a real fear that something's going to mess up your space components.
Yeah, I'm kind of still wondering how that's going to evolve with time, because there's a anime / like manga called Planetes. It's like a Japanese science fiction story, and it's kind of basically about trash people in orbit who are kind of picking up space debris and getting it out of orbit. But yeah, in that one, it's kind of like basically, I was going to make a point, but I lost the train of thought. But yeah, generally speaking, if you're going out and you're doing kind of things, something like that, you're basically, um, it's part of your job. But I'll make the point later
Okay, I don't know.
because I'm probably going to bring it up more often.
Well, I was just thinking, how are the ants going to adapt to being on the moon?
Right, because on that in Planetus, there's a scene where they get on the moon, and they're growing apples on the moon, and the apples, because it's so low gravity, they're growing really really big, like the size of a watermelon. And so I'm kind of wondering if they're going to do the same thing in For All Mankind, where the ants, they're kind of small on Earth, the black ants, because of the low gravity, they're going to get bigger. And I'm kind of wondering how that's going to that would work.
Whoa, giant ants.
Yeah, so that was my point. And
that's cool.
There's a lot between Planetes and For All Mankind that I kind of connect, so I might bring that show up a little bit more often, especially as we go along.
That sounds good. Well, I'm surprised people aren't cleaning up the space trash right now, the space junk.
Yeah, seems like it would be an interesting, job to have. I mean, you'd be an astronaut technically. It would just be
I'd be
space
garbage.
Yeah, space garbage people. So
gotta step.
It's a good job.
AFK eating wings. Thanks and have fun, Jill and Phil. Thank you, Cam. Have a good one, everybody, he says. Enjoy your wings. Yeah, nice. Oh no, now I'm hungry. I really like the song Copacabana in the 3rd grade. Bet I'll sing along. I was 9. Yeah, that's a cute song. I like it too. Ed and Karen are watching something. It's 1983. They're watching a rocket launch from under the ocean, the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, not just any kind of rocket launch, but yeah, from under the South Pacific.
It's carrying this rocket is carrying plutonium.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Phase 3 expansion of Jamestown.
Yeah.
And the rocket is enormous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be even bigger than a Saturn V because you have to haul these things out with like carriers.
Yeah, and it apparently is called the Sea Dragon.
Which is based on an actual. I think in the first and second episodes of the season, Werner von Braun is talking about making these sea dragons and launching them from the South Pacific. And now it's, as far as we're told at this point, for people kind of going along as we are, 1983, we have them now, and we're launching them to the moon.
Yes. So this is the cut this is the time jump from the end of 1974 to 1983.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Sea Dragon. It was created by a real rocket scientist named Bob Truax. Truax.
I've always pronounced it Truax. I don't think.
Is it Truax?
I don't know who. I know who it is, but I've always pronounced it that way. But I haven't seen very many things that pronounce his name correctly. Now I think about it.
Well, I would like to pronounce things correctly, but I very often don't.
Yeah.
It's 490 feet long, 75 feet across, designed to carry 550 tons to LEO. What's LEO?
That's a low Earth orbit.
Low Earth orbit, of course. Okay. All right. And for comparison, Saturn V only carries 155 tons.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. That's the episodes. That's it. We did season 1.
Yep. Season 1 is in the bag.
Yeah,
and now it seems like you're dedicated to finishing. So You have 3 more seasons to get through.
Very cool. Yes, 3 more seasons, and yeah, I'm going to review season 5 when it comes out also.
Yeah.
But of course,
Yeah, I'm told that one's going to be probably the spring, but who knows? Maybe spring, summer.
Mhm.
Because the way it's been going, it's about like 14 to 16 months in between each season. So that would track. But with the writer's strike that happened, I don't know if it's going to push that out a little bit more. Because, I mean, that was like a 6-month strike. So, yeah, I'm kind of concerned, but we'll see.
Yeah, right. Well, it seems like they're dedicated also to doing at least the next season. Hopefully, it gets 2 more seasons after that because
Yeah.
I want to see it carry out.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, in my own little headcanon, I'm kind of dreaming that they do yet another spinoff that's kind of set like 100 years afterwards or 100, 200 years afterwards, and we kind of see where the foundation it started with, For All Mankind and Star City, and then we kind of see
mhm.
where that kind of got us.
Yeah. So, Snort a Poop is cute bird. Did I say hi to him? I'm not sure. Hello. Hello, Snort a Poopus. How are you doing today? We just finished our review of For All Mankind season 1, episodes 9 and 10. So we finished season 1, moving on to season 2 next Tuesday. Gorilla's Random Thought says, "Whatever happened to Scotty? You boot his ass?" No, I didn't boot Scotty's ass. Scotty's still around. He did go on a family vacation, but he's not really joining me for All Mankind. So it's just not something he's watching. So he's not joining. But also he in general is not showing up for Tuesday shows anymore because he's doing other stuff. He's got things to do. But he will be here on Friday. So on Friday, actually, Phil is going to be here on Friday too. He said he wanted to join us for Star Trek Insurrection, right? Am I right about that?
I forget what time was it.
That's at noon on Friday, Central Time.
Central Time, so it's like 10 a.m. That's going to be kind of tricky for me
Oh,
because I will be going to the Star Trek Las Vegas convention, and I
oh,
think
okay. Okay, it must have been
this.
somebody else who said they were coming, and then I
I
just
mean,
put you there.
yeah, no, I mean, I think I will be. I mean, as long as you'll have me for Star Trek stuff, I would love to do those too, as long as I can find the time for it. But
Yeah, of course. Oh, well, I'll send
yeah,
you the link anyway. If you have the time, you can show up. If not, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna have. I should have plenty of guests for that one.
okay.
Hopefully,
If nothing else, I'll tune in. So
we'll
I
see.
probably
We'll
might
see.
be
We'll find
in
out
the
just how.
comments.
Oh, that would be great too. I do
Yeah.
appreciate anybody in the chat as much as on the panel.
Mhm.
We'll see just how much interest there is in Star Trek Insurrection on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, that was my second Star Trek movie I saw in person because I think I saw the First Contact was my first one I ever saw when I was a kid. So Insurrection has a special place in my heart. I know a lot of people have their opinions about it, but I don't know. I will defend it.
Yeah, I have lots of criticisms. So come see what they are on Friday. I don't like it
Yeah.
too much, but
Yeah.
there's some
Perfect.
interesting aspects to it. But
Yeah, I
I would
mean,
love to talk to somebody who likes it. When I
yeah,
did Star Trek Nemesis, I had someone on who loves that movie, and I don't. So it's always good to
yeah,
have different perspectives.
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, for me, out of the next gen movies, I think the one I don't like is Nemesis. So we're on the same team there.
Hooray. Girl says, "Don't you mean Star Trek mostly peaceful protests? Mostly peaceful rebellion?" Grilla? Hey,
Yeah.
Grilla. I don't know what you're referring to exactly, but sure.
I think just in terms of like agreements or disagreements.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yep,
and
no,
so
I'm
that's
looking forward
why.
to at least seeing the panel. So
Definitely. And there were some storylines in season 1 that were kind of left untended to. So, we've got a homeless little girl, but now it's 10 years later, so what the hell happened?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I think
lots of
I
stuff
think you're going to
happened.
be I think you're going to be surprised at where things end up going, and
Mhm.
yeah, no, I'm eager and excited to see uh, what you're going to think of the first 2 episodes of season 2, and then reviewing the remainder of that season, and then moving forward. So
And some
I'm
people
excited
say
for
it's
you
even
to see it.
better. Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah,
Because some people
absolutely.
say it's even better than season 1, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited
mean, I'm of
for
the
that.
opinion that they constantly get better, but
Mhm.
yeah, you'll be the judge.
I will be the judge. But if you disagree, you can tell me about it. Gavin Blackburn says somebody has to defend that dreadful movie. That's right. Somebody has to defend that dreadful movie. So if you love Star Trek Insurrection, show up on Friday and tell us all about it. Lance from the Outcast Creative says, "Sorry I couldn't join you today. Season 2 is better, and you'll like it." Thank you, Lance. I appreciate that.
That's
I appreciate you being in the chat, even if you can't be here. And that'll be something. I really enjoyed my time watching this series. It's really
yeah. I
something
mean,
special. I'm glad it got made.
yeah, me too. For a while there, it was like Ronald D. Moore couldn't get like a show going for like more than a couple of seasons, and then he had I've never seen it, but Outlander is one that I think is a multi-season series, and then yeah, there's For All Mankind, which I think is hopefully going to get to 7 seasons. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Well, 7 would be perfect because
Yeah.
that's what it sounds like he has planned out.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I'd love to read the outline they have, but
okay, so I'm gonna put your links in the chat here. All done. Gotta step out for the ride home. See you soon. Thanks to you all for the company. Oh, and I hope you're feeling okay after the treatment, RVM 371,
mm,
and get lots of rest. Lots of fluids.
yep.
That's what the doctors say, don't they?
Yeah.
So subscribe to Fleet Admiral Levi. That is Phil here, and
Yeah.
see what he's up to. And
Hmm.
follow him on Twitter at the Phil1. Except no substitutions. Please tell me what you're doing within the next week and what you want to share. Anything you want to share about what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, normally I'm supposed to do I want my podcast to be on Fridays, but with a couple of things that are coming up, I'll be having my podcast kind of introducing the Star Trek Las Vegas on Thursday, and then I will be in Vegas on Friday, but I'm only going to be at the convention on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll be taking some videos and maybe some audio clips and sending them to a well-known Trek website. And so um, as that gets publicized, I'll definitely make it known to you guys, and you guys can check it out if you guys want. But no, I haven't been to the Star Trek Las Vegas convention in several years, and so I'm very anxious, but I'm also excited to hop back into the convention space, especially after Comic Con last week. So
I haven't been there in 8 years, so yeah, let me know if it's
yeah,
any good.
yeah. Last time I was in Vegas was in 2016, so yeah, 8 years ago.
Yeah, okay, so you were there too. I was also there. We were there at the Las Vegas 50th anniversary Star Trek convention together, but we didn't know each other, so
Yeah,
we didn't meet.
yeah, you may have crossed paths, and then we didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, DJ
So,
Play Nice said subbed, so
oh,
thank you for
subscribe to
that.
Philip. Thank you, DJ Play Nice. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, yeah. Any little bit
Yeah.
helps.
Okay, I'm still here. Hey, finished his wings in time for the end.
Hmm.
I've only been to one Star Trek convention, says Lance. The first after COVID in the UK. Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, the Trek site that I'm doing stuff with, I believe they're out of the UK, but yeah, I'm gonna try not to say any more than that. But when the time comes, it'll come out.
Sure. Okay, well, until then, I will see you all next time. See you on Friday for Insurrection. Check out. Keep an eye on Lance for all the. Philip for all the cool things he's doing, and Lance too. Why not? He's doing really great stuff at the Outcast Creative. Really cool interviews and stuff, and
definitely.
really neat reviews. And thanks everyone for exploring our little solar system here today. Hope you had fun. And I'll talk to you next time.
I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Learn all that is learnable.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.